What's up, everyone? I am Travis with the Stint Leadership Team. A recent survey shows that 48% of Americans believe that if they are generally good or can do enough good things during their lifetime, they will earn a place in heaven. And I want to ask you, is this what the Bible teaches? In light of 48% of Americans believing that they can earn a place in heaven based on good behavior, a few questions come to mind. How good is good enough? And who would set the bar for such standard? We have all heard the Christmas classic, Santa Claus is Coming to Town. And in that song comes this line, "He knows if you've been bad or good, so be good for goodness sake." Almost half of people in America have fashioned this motto as a standard by which they will one day enter heaven. But how does this work? Is it a simple calculation of all your good deeds stacked up against all your bad deeds? And if this is the case, how are you measuring up? Well, in Romans 3:23, it says, "For everyone has sinned. We all fall short of God's glorious standard." So right away, we see that every single one of us have failed to meet God's standard to get into heaven. And if this is true, then it doesn't matter how many charities we give to during Christmas time, or how many times we've obeyed our parents, or even how many times we've tried to read the Bible. Trying harder to be a good person isn't good enough. Every single one of us has sinned and turned against God. And by going against God, the very being who sets the standard to get into heaven, we can be sure, regardless of how good of a person we think we are, our good deeds do not outweigh all of the sin that runs rampant in our life. In Ephesians 2:9, Paul drives this point home by saying, "This salvation is not a reward for good things we have done, so that no one can boast about it." So how does one enter heaven? Well, Paul writes this in Romans 3:25. "For God presented Jesus as a sacrifice for sin." People are made right with God when they believe that Jesus sacrificed his life, shedding his blood. You see, our only hope of entering heaven is putting our trust in Jesus. He's the one who covered our sin by dying for us. He took the penalty of our sin so that we could be made right with God. Good for goodness sake doesn't cut it. Jesus is our only hope of salvation. If you have any questions or thoughts on this, please let us know by commenting down below. Thanks for watching, and we will see you next week.
If you want to learn more about this topic and many others, or about our cost-free Stint internship, visit toddbecker.org/stint.